from last night's rain. I decided to go to the service department and bring it up with the service manager. He has overall been great with me over the years. I informed him of everything. I just acknowledged to you in this email and tried to replicate the leak. I had a picture of where it was leaking, and the service advisor seeing the grab handle wet. I told him it happened while I was washing the truck, but I never deliberately sprayed over a certain area for an extended amount of time. The truck goes in next week, and he's going to take the headliner off and go to the car wash to try and replicate the leak. I'm curious if you can give me any food for thought on this. If you need my VIN or anything like that, I really appreciate it. I trust your knowledge, so I figured I would reach out to you. Any questions for me, please let me know. Best regards, Matt. Let me see here. There's supposed to be a pic of the leak. Let's see. So again, we're going to go back to the roofs on the F-150. They don't seal very well. Plastic channels that go along the side, they don't seal very well. The top of the window where they meet the body, a lot of times they don't seal very well. This is not a new issue. It's been going on for a long time, and off and on it hasn't ever really been completely straightened out. It's hit or miss on who experiences this. I would go to those plastic channels along the roof that actually sit. I think you can stand up on the side of the truck and you can actually see where the seam is, where there's a channel that goes along it, if yours even has that. But I won't guarantee you that it's coming from a molding seam on that roof or one of the corners where there's like a dress-up piece of plastic or something like that. 9 times out of 10, it's not coming from the sun visor area at all or the sunroof area at all, especially if those drains are cleared out. It's going to be something related to a corner, a trim piece, or a rubber molding to that extent. That's almost every time that's where it comes from on those F-150s, and guys overlook that all the time. It's easy to do. Okay, so let's back out of here. Greetings, I'm proud to be one of the more 20,000 subscribers to your channel. I enjoy your content and many different subjects you cover. At the age of 16, I purchased my own money, brand new 1973 Maverick, and I've owned Fords ever since. The last 2006 Mustang GT since that first. The last was 2006 Mustang GT since that first purchase. I've always performed my own routine maintenance on everything required, nothing more than standard tools. Anything I couldn't handle or didn't have the knowledge or skill set was done by professionals. We are currently leasing a 2020 Lincoln Corsair with a 2-liter turbo direct injected EcoBoost engine. With both of us retired, it is the perfect vehicle for us to do whatever we need to do and go wherever we want to go. It wasn't clear from this video what your thoughts are regarding the engine and its current, specifically. The factory oil change is 10,000 miles or 1 year Ford semi-synthetic. I intend to never exceed 5,000. Please, that's good. Don't ever exceed 5,000 on a boosted engine. You recommend a 3 to 4K change interval with this engine. 5K max, preferably 3 is what I recommend. The intended oil I'll be using is full synthetic Pennzoil Platinum Plus excellent oil or Shell Rotella gas and truck. I like the Pennzoil. I don't have any experience with Shell, so I can't say anything bad about them, but the Pennzoil has done me very well. All in a 5W30 weight. We live in San Diego. I'll be doing all the oil and filter changes using the Motorcraft 910S filter. We have not decided if we will take over the lease or in September 2020 or not in September 2023. Is the installation of an oil catch can warranted? Most of the time, the manufacturer that makes the oil catch can will have a disclaimer on whether or not they'll let you know whether or not it voids the warranty. The professional side of me says the dealer, if they're not experienced with aftermarket stuff, they're probably not going to like to see that. The unprofessional side of me that's normal, that knows these things are a huge benefit to the vehicle, say put it on. As long as there's no check engine lights or nothing like that, let it do its job. When you go to take it into the dealer for something, pull it back off and put the factory tube back on. You'll be fine. Currently, I can't find any supplier of a catch can for this application, but may change this year as the engine matures. Sure, I would look at JLT. JLT, they make a lot of applications for vehicles, so check JLT because they have some really, really good stuff and really good prices. I believe 2020 was a new iteration of this engine. There are other engine maintenance related issues are there any that I should be aware of or address? Are there any TSBs that would be applicable for the Corsair? If so, what are the TSB numbers so that I can work the dealership to have them addressed? We experienced a total body control module failure at 1,700 miles, very unexpected, but handled it in a professional manner through the dealership in where he lives. For the record, my personal vehicle is 2017 BMW M240i. So I haven't seen anything directly with that vehicle. Noisy engine, a little bit. One of them I found that, is it a Nautilus or a Corsair? I don't remember if it was a Nautilus or a Corsair, but there was a ticking sound coming from the front left wheel, and I found the vacuum line that goes to the motor mount was ticking off of the CV axle bellow clamp because of the way they route it. I had to reroute the vacuum line going to the motor mount because it's a vacuum controlled motor mount on the Lincolns, and I had to tie it off out of the way in a safe, secure area to stop this from happening. Other than that, I've had no issues with them, and I don't know of any issues with them, but I'll definitely, if you remind me, jump on PTS website and actually log in and see if I can see anything abnormal, that would be of concern. But I think you're fine. Just keep it serviced. Keep doing what you're doing. Use good oil. It'll take care of you. I contacted the warranty company as recommended by your service department, and we are good to go. I have an appointment set up for June 16th, if it's possible, to have you as the master tech to be assigned to my vehicle. That would be greatly appreciated. I figure since I've been talking to you about the issues I have been dealing with on my 2015 Ford Escape SE front-wheel drive vehicle, thanks for your help. I did reply to you after, and I was told by your service center to also contact my warranty company just to be sure they can approve that as well, and I'm going to be doing that today. I do have an appointment at your shop on the 16th of this month. I want to thank you again. Nice. So I will be looking at your vehicle here in a few days. That's awesome. See what this, I love this, man. We build a community, and then I get to fix people's stuff for them. So yeah, it's not like I'm not familiar with that vehicle. Probably know that vehicle inside and out like it's nothing. So look forward to that. Looks like I got some business. Bruce Jones. I went from a 2020 Fiesta with poor transmission and flying open rear doors. I remember that, the door latch recall, to a 2015 Focus with defective wipers, 3 clutch rebuilds, low mileage, and many other defects. I will say Ford and the dealership helped me out of both into a 2018 Focus, which seemed to perform okay. I don't mean to rattle on, but I also wanted to comment on the extra pay for working a car under warranty. I'm glad you explained that. I was once offended I was once offered that deal, but thought it was a scam. I will reconsider in the future. I was finally able to afford one of the last Fusions to come off the Mexican assembly line, despite the many gadgets, bells, alarms, and whistles and it rides too stiff, the S model. Overall, I'm pleased. It has 3,500 miles. I live on a steep hill and a gravel driveway in the mountains. When I go down the driveway, I hear a rattle like a screw or pebble. Service can't find anything, and other than once a dead battery, no other issues. Brakes function fine. So the transmission kind of got to be noisy and make that sound. There's another sound that particularly sounds like a raspiness, like a rattle raspiness. Sometimes that can come from the turbo wastegate actuator as well, or the clip on the turbo where the rod adjustment is. The little clip that sits back there will rattle, and it'll make like a tinging, tanging, rattling sound. So you got to check that out. That's the two most common issues with that. Seems to go away once it's warmed up. Turbo, rattle, clip. Sounds like that's exactly what it is. I had that happen I don't know how many times, where a customer will explain something like that to me and I can't find it right away. And then they drive up in the driveway at work and they're like, hey, there it is, there it is. And sure enough, it's rattling and tanging or whatever, and it's got low miles on it, and it's the turbo actuator. Sometimes I end up having to put a turbo on it just because of some stupid little clip that you can't adjust. But I would check there. I would look at turbo rattle and listen for the transmission sound in that vehicle. Car bumps being beautiful guy. Congrats on channel success. I need help with two vehicles. One is a Mazda CX-9 and the other is a 2015 Ford Fiesta ST. I really just need them looked over to see what maintenance should be done and the route potential. Let me know when, and if you have time, we can go from there. Thanks, Mark. Okay, are we dropping them off at the dealer? Okay, email sent. I have to be careful with doing stuff away from work because of moonlighting. You don't want to take business away from work, and with them being involved in my channel too, it's not good business for me and you. So you should look at Honey says you should look at setting up a Discord and allow your community to interact with each other, post links to other channels you support, stuff like that. It gives us all a place to gather when you're not uploading videos. Take care, keep on rocking. Okay, I can think about that. I'm starting more social media in the middle of already having this and it taking off like it has. It just sometimes can add more stress. This guy is, so I can't get the CRV oscillation when it straightens out in the wheel. Do you think it could be a CV axle and gets out of alignment due to a worn spot and gets back to alignment? This is pertaining to a question that that I asked for help because I don't work on Hondas. Like I do, but I don't. And this is one of the subscribers saying that he can't stop thinking about the situation that I'm dealing with. My Ranger has numerous issues. I believe it was in an unreported wreck. First issue arrives was a grinding shift from first to second. Next issue is I noticed a leak from the rear differential. Third issue has me puzzled. It has all signs it was struck or it wasn't a wreck, but there's no info. Any advice could greatly be appreciated. So first issue, the grinding shift from first to second. Those transmissions in those trucks were notorious for solenoids starting to bind up and also shift bands to crack, and it would cause issues. It would cause a shuddering, grinding type situation. You could baby it along, could put a solenoid in it. Typically, once it starts doing that, it's a pretty decent sign that the trans is going to have to be gone through. One came in the shop recently. Overdrive light flashed. It only did it one time. Literally, it only did it one time. Overdrive light flashed. It stuttered. It kind of jerked a little bit, not too much, and then it shifted out of third gear. and the code that was set in the computer was for third gear or fourth gear, shift solenoid band or band solenoid, I don't know what it was. I went and talked to the trans guy, and he was like, yeah, that's almost every single time when that happens, or you get some of those weird, quirky, grinding shift type noises with those transmissions, typically it's rebuild time, even though it doesn't have a lot of miles. They had weak bands inside the transmission that would crack, fracture, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know that for sure. A lot of people would say start out with a transmission flush. I'm not a trans guy like that. Like, I know I can do some stuff, but I could pull them apart and rebuild them and do all. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty of why this, that, how much fluid pressure and stuff, that's not my forte. What I can also check with the trans guy too and see what he says. As for the leak at the rear differential, that's an easy fix, to be honest with you. That's just a matter of is it rear differential cover or is it pinion seal? Cover would just be bolts off, cover off, clean everything up, fluid out, wipe everything out. Reseal, whether it be a gasket or silicone, bolt everything up, let it dry, overnight. Next day, put fluid in it. It's fine. If it's a pinion seal, drive shaft down, pinion nut off. Probably gonna need a 2 or 3 jaw puller to push up against the pinion, pull the pinion out, pry the old seal out of there, clean up everything real good. Go ahead and take like a big socket, tap a new seal in, get your yoke and stuff started. You might have to tap around the yoke a little bit to get it down far enough, put the nut back on, and then use the nut to draw it all back together. And then you'll have to get a feel for where you left off. So that's always a plus when it comes to just replacing a seal. A lot of people will mark an indentation, where the nut's at. They'll take like a punch and they'll smack it, and they'll know where they left off. So whenever they draw it all the way back in, right where it starts to get tight, they'll just bring that dot back around, line it back up with where it was at, and they're typically fine. As for the accident, I think the only thing you could do is try to run a Carfax and see if it was reported. If it's not reported, really nothing you can do. You can look in the frame to see if there's specific holes that are, shaped like, supposed to be like ovals, but they're crushed in. And then you can see if somebody's like pulled on a frame or whatever to straighten stuff back out. Look for ripples in the metal and stuff, but nothing you can do about that. Intake manifold leak. Okay, I've got a 1.5 EcoBoost, and I got a problem with oil spilled on my engine cover. So the intake manifold is unscrewed, the gasket's visible, photo loop below. I don't know how it could have happened, but should I be worried or just screw the loose bolt? Is that common? Could you explain it on YouTube? Let's see here. Okay, I see a little bit of oil there for sure. See some oil on the VCT solenoid on the intake side. Let's see here. I mean, screwing it back in won't hurt anything. I'm wondering if that oil isn't pushing out of the bottom of the oil cap, because the oil cap is right above where it's at. Yeah, screw that screw back in, clean everything up, and see if it stops. If it doesn't stop and everything's tight, you may want to try to figure out oil cap replacement, because that oil cap is right above where that oil is at, and if that seal is not sealing inside that valve cover, there's a lot of blow-by in this motor. You take that oil cap off, you can feel that pressure coming out of that valve cover. So that cap does have a pretty decent sized O-ring on it, and it needs to be sealed properly. And if that is not sealed and turned down in there, if it's got a little cut in it, it'll blow out all over the top of the valve cover right there. So I would start there. Hello, I just bought one of my dream cars at the young age of 2020, Mustang GT 10R80. I'd like to know if you have any experience with the transmission in the shop, whether it be small or severe problems, Also, I'd like to know the best way to maintain the trans for years to come, as this is going to be a car I will never sell. I know the 10R80 is fairly new still, and a very weird trans, that's true. Makes noise, shifts, shudders weird sometimes, and people are like, oh, it's normal, that's just how it is, it never breaks, but that is normal. Any knowledge would help us a lot. I'm not talking just about myself, but over 9,000 Mustang owners here in Canada, Ontario. If you'd be able to make a video, I could direct people to that video. Would be great. Also, would you be able to give us your input on the infamous barbecue typewriter ticking? My car just developed it after the first oil change at Ford. Okay, I can respond to that in a video, and we'll talk about the 2020 Mustang GT. It's a very noisy motor. It's a very odd shifting trans at times. With you having 10R80, it likes to hunt a lot. A lot of guys with these transmissions will get a reprogram. They'll have it aftermarket tuned, and a lot of the aftermarket tuning type stuff takes away a lot of the fuel noise. It takes away a lot of the shifting weird with transmissions. This is from what I understand talking to car guys that I'm around. But the factory tune, the way it's factory set up with fuel and stuff, it just doesn't seem like it quite meets the par with how it should be performing, in a stable, standard type environment of just sound aesthetics, not hearing something clangy and clacky or whatever coming from the trans or the motor. But that's just my experience. It's more of a personal email than a email read out loud, so I'll save that one. First off, great content with the vehicle mentioned above. Upon acceleration onto a freeway or a freeway AC off, is it normal for the blower to start blowing air through the vents? Only for a few seconds. Also, I smell fumes inside, which I believe there's been problems with. I have a carbon monoxide alarm in the back just to be safe, but it has never gone off. Is there a fix for this? Yes. So there's an HVAC reprogram available for that gets rid of that blowing of the vents. Also, at the same time, that same HVAC reprogram is going to take care of a programming issue for carbon monoxide smell inside the cabin. What they do is they lift the lift gate of the Explorer, they pull all of the water drains out of the edge, and they actually super glue new tighter ones in there so the exhaust can't be circulated back in. And the reprogram of the AC will actually work in conjunction with how the vehicle is operating to stop drawing in outside air in certain conditions. So it'll help eliminate that exhaust smell. So there actually is a thing through Ford for the Explorers for the very concern that you talked about right now. And if you actually call up your local Ford dealer and ask them to look up the TSBs for carbon monoxide smell inside, they'll give it to you, and they'll let you know whether or not you're eligible to come in and have it done. It's a 19. I wouldn't see why not. One of the subscribers from your YouTube pre-show would like to grab a beer sometimes, talk shop. I'm in the St. Charles area. That's awesome, man. New friends. go hang out. Oh, let's see. I just wanted you to know that I'm a technician with Hyundai and Kia. If you ever need anything, please let me know. I haven't seen a whole lot, but I do the majority of diags that come through the shop. Just to be a little bit of help. If you ever need anything, reach out to me, please. Hey, that's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. This is networking at its finest, right? This is how we build relationships with each other. This is cool. First of all, sorry for blowing up the chat on the live stream. I know this isn't what the video was for. I have a 97 F-150, a 4.6. The temp when I first start shoots all the way up and then goes all the way to the bottom. Never goes up no matter how long I let it run. It doesn't have gauges like on the new vehicles. Go all the way back up and all the way back down. I have no idea why it's doing this. I unplugged the temp sensor and plugged it back in, grounded to the positive side of the plug. The temp went all the way. Thinking bad sender, or your thoughts? It also may be a bad ground to the wire. Yes, you're pretty much right on the money. Sender, cluster, wiring, you're already right there. That's what I would recommend as well. So you diagnosed it yourself pretty much. I'm sorry I couldn't have more input, but that's exactly what I would have said. I would have checked those items. I really appreciate you doing the live stream and talking about your journey as a technician and the channel growth. Originally, I came across your YouTube channel and thought I'd reach out to you about a recent situation I ran into with a 1.6 liter EcoBoost engine. I found a valve keeper in my oil pan connected to my magnetic drain plug. The engine runs fine, 84,000 miles, never had signs of any issues. I opened up the valve cover to find no broken cam buckets or lobe wear. At this point, I can't see how a valve keeper would escape without a cam bucket being destroyed or valve being dropped, which would be catastrophic, which you would think means no running engine. How have you ever come across this? No, I have not. At this point, a buddy of mine who is a Ford tech is going to help me get the cams out so we know for sure. And we're going to do a timing belt service and motor pump along with replacing anything that is single-use parts. I've already done the injector service and cleaning myself. I'm just stumped that we looked up the service records. No engine work was reported on the second owner. And who knows what happened under the table before. Any thoughts? Just factory assembly, spare. I really can't see how I have a keeper in the pan without it breaking through something in the engine. That motor could have been assembled and somebody dropped something. Quality control sometimes slips. You never know. You never really know. If you don't see an issue and it's not running bad, run it, baby. Run it. That's kind of one that we're always going to think about. We're never going to have an answer for. Tuesday, 6-8 chat, really good. Fix the chat so folks can send you dollars. Others do this. I would send a few bucks. Here's a good quote. I'd rather have 1% of 100 men than 100% of one man. Rockefeller. Wow, that's awesome. You know what? I don't really, I know there's a way you can do it. I just don't know how to turn the super chat thing on. Jesse, what's up, man? I gotta tell you, I honestly wasn't expecting anything. Got a big time thanks, man. And honestly couldn't have gone to a better guy because of current life situations, conditions. I'm always out there trying to find old, broken, used tools. It's been that way for a few years now at this point, but I don't complain about I don't get out about when I don't get out, but I'm grateful for what I do have. I'm just trying to get get the Pennsylvania rust off of the free, broken, or well-used tools actually is a usable tool underneath all that. Got to do what you got to do, brother, and I think you know that too. And honestly, I don't think I own anything that is Mac, so we'll be excited to try this little thing out. But then again, I've never won anything on YouTube or anything like this, so I was fortunate enough to experience this for the first time in my life. Thanks, bud. All right, got it. I see your address and stuff on here. This is from the live chat the other night. He did guess what my horsepower rating was going to be on my car whenever I ran on the dyno. And I thought, you know what, I have a tool set to give away from Mac. It's name brand. It's nice to have around the house. It's a bit driver set. It's a kit about, I don't know, 10, 12 inches long. I think it's got about 30 or 40 pieces or something. It's nice. It's a pretty cool little kit. They usually give it out around the holidays and stuff like that. So I figured, why not? The tool guy gave it to me and said, find somebody. I called, or Hans said, I called the parts department at our local Ford dealer. He said he didn't have data on the amperage of the 21 F-150 3.5 liter EcoBoost. Are there any other sources we can check? I don't want to overload the vehicle. I thought TFL or somebody did something all about this truck. I thought they literally, first of all, I need to start with a VIN number. So when you watch this video, send me your VIN number back. And then we'll go from there. That's it, guys. I just responded to 30-some emails in a live or in a video. I hope this helps somewhat. And I'm looking forward to your feedback and your questions. Again, if you have any questions about vehicles, the email for the channel is fordbossme@gmail.com. Thank you all. Have a blessed night.